What's going on, everybody? Goonsack Steve here again, back with another review for you guys, and this time it is of this guy right here, the Sideshow Life-Size Predator Bust in collaboration with Stan Winston Studios. This piece was produced a long time ago, back in 2002, which coincidentally is about half a decade younger than me, so this piece makes me feel old, despite not really being too old. So, obviously we're going to go into a bit more of an in-depth look of this piece in terms of all the details. Unfortunately, I don't have the artwork box that I will show you guys like I would usually do if I had one. However, I will be doing a comparison between this guy and the unmasked head sculpt of the Stan Winston maquette that was also produced around the same sort of time. So, without further ado, let's get into a more in-depth look to this piece, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. And here he is, guys, in all of his glory. And as the famous Dutch Schaefer once said, he is one ugly motherfucker. So the story behind this guy is I got him back in 2017. And he was actually my first ever, I guess, really expensive piece. So, as you guys can see, he is absolutely loaded with detail. So when I originally first bought him, it was from, I believe, a lady whose husband passed away in South Australia. She did not have a box, which is, I guess, the unfortunate part of not being able to open this review with the box and the artwork. So you can imagine how stressful that was for me, having this piece coming and not knowing if it's going to turn up in pieces or broken. Like, God knows, there are some nightmare pictures I have seen of this piece being absolutely demolished. And I did not want any part of having that be the case when it came to me owning this. So I prayed, and turns out it turned out literally just fine. There is probably one little fault with my piece, and it will be this tooth right here. As you can see, it does have a small chip, but at the price I got it for back in the day, the straight $2,000 Australian, which I think back at the time was about 15, I think it was about 1,200 US back in 2017. It might have been a little bit more, but for that price, I couldn't pass up. So yeah, one of the huge critiques with this piece is the hair. A lot of people don't like the fact that it is sculpted, but in all honesty, I don't mind it. Unlike the wolf that has rubber dreads, which I also will review in some future video, this will never deteriorate. So this bust will for all time look just like it does right now. Which is absolutely awesome. Yeah, it's not perfect by any means, but I'd much rather never have to worry about this than potentially having to replace the dreads, which I imagine at some point in the future the wolf will need. Even though it might not be anytime soon, I'd be shocked if I never had to touch its dreads. So we'll get a closer look at this guy. And his eyes, hopefully the light can catch them. Absolutely amazing. One thing I will stop on, the inside of his mouth. This paint job, despite being nearly 20 years old, is still probably one of the best painted pieces Sideshow ever produced. Obviously now, he does look a tiny bit aged with all the silicone busts and that being produced by companies like Queen Studios and Custom Pieces, and even the Scott Marshall busts. But for a mass-produced, fully licensed piece, it does not get any better than what you guys are seeing right here. Give you one more shot of the eyes. And yeah, they just don't do it like they used to anymore. So now we will take a look at the quills and crown area. The quills done on this guy are really good. They are quite delicate. I did have a few of them snap off in shipping. Luckily I was able to glue them in just fine, and the lady also provided me with about several spares in case any of them broke. This guy's absolutely amazing. But yeah, with the crown, which is obviously one of the highlight features of the Predator design, a lot of you hardcores might know about the crown being inspired by several different fruits, such as banana, apricots, mangoes, all of that sort of stuff. The color scheme was inspired by fruits, which is quite an interesting choice, but it definitely works. Just another look at that mouth. One thing I did forget to mention with the mouth is it even has saliva coming down off its teeth. I believe this is one of the few statues that has this effect. It even has a little bit coming off there. They absolutely nailed this guy. And there's the last mandible with even more ripping happening. Here you have his neck piece and part of both his torso and shoulders, which in my opinion, all life-size busts should include basically the torso and shoulders, because they are meant to be a bust over, like, after all. Got a nameplate there. I'm not a huge fan of nameplates, but obviously I'm not going to complain when you've got this guy. The body definitely does show its age quite a bit, because it's not super well sculpted. And obviously the necklace. The necklace is super fragile. The amount of people that have complained about this breaking and shipping, or even just someone touching it and it snapping, is quite crazy. It is a shame that the actual body itself, the netting, isn't real. But again, it is just a small part of the bust. The head, which is obviously the main feature, is ultimately the thing everyone looks at. I will give you guys a 360 of the bottom half of him. And as you can see, the body does show its age quite a bit. Got just its basic plain sides, which I know some people aren't a fan of. I like it because it's just a very clean look. Like, you don't have any, like, just hollow bits or anything. It's just nice and clean, keeps everyone's eye on where they're meant to be looking. Got part of his backpack and back armor. This is film accurate, because obviously he doesn't have his shoulder cannon in the movie, so there's no need to have his med pack and all that sweet stuff. But yeah, absolutely wicked bust. I'm super happy that I own him. And again, same sort of deal on the other side, with it just being a plain basic thing. So that's basically the overall view of the bust. What I will do is, for those that want to see it, I will show a comparison between both the Stan Winston Studios maquette and this guy in terms of scale and, I guess, paint apps and all that good stuff for those that want to see it. Since we did miss out on the box artwork, I'm definitely willing to do that for you guys. So I'll film that right now and you guys can have a look at that. So here we have the Stan Winston Studios maquette unmasked head sculpt. As you guys can see, he is literally spitting image of the Jungle Hunter. Outside of really the two top inner teeth, which I do believe are a little too large, this guy is literally just a downscaled sculpt of this life-size bust here. The dreads are obviously miles better, but it is what it is. But yeah, this guy's paint obviously isn't as good, but still a wicked little piece, and they do look quite cool sitting next to each other. But yeah, thank you for watching. The next review I will probably end up doing will be for the Jungle Hunter maquette, and you will see that head, well, the little head sculpt in more detail in that review, and obviously the exclusive biomask and all that jazz. But thank you all for watching. Please leave your thoughts below of this piece. Consider liking, commenting, subscribing. A lot of effort does go into these videos, between editing and especially the chroma screening and or chroma keying, I will say, color correcting and all that sort of jazz. It is quite the effort. So if you could please give us your thoughts on this piece, and if you own him, and even if you want to let us know what your favorite Predator piece is. This is probably my favorite Predator piece out of all the pieces I've got. That is including the Cinemaquette. There's just a heap of nostalgia for me with this guy, and it's the closest to screen accurate that we will probably ever get. So thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.